Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to give you my thoughts on Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which is part 4, and obviously was not the final chapter. Um, but there was like an urge from the studios to, sort of wrap it up in a certain way and give like a definitive close off. As well as Tom Savini himself being interested in doing some kind of death of Jason per se and being involved with that since he was so involved in the inception of the character. Um, but through all that and through them, backtracking, pretty quickly afterward, Friday the 13th, the final chapter remains one of the most well regarded of the franchise. Um, it's one I've always liked quite a bit. Sometimes I feel like I haven't been as high on it as some people are, but it's another one that, like part 2, I seem to like more and more every time I watch it. And I think there's definitely an argument to be made that it is, like, objectively, probably the best of at least the original films. Um, you have Ted White stepping in as Jason Voorhees in this movie. I think he is one of the top few to play the character, right along with like Derek Mears, Kane Hodder, and I've always liked Ken personally. Um, and his Jason brings like a real kind of not just ferocity, but like a meanness, and just the way he executes the kills and the way he moves. It really, really fits the tone well. And that brings me to what is probably, I think, the movie's biggest strength, and that is the tone and the atmosphere that they create, and sort of like a sense of dread and walls closing in. I think is just really, really well realized, especially as the weather progressively gets worse and it starts, raining and everything. It creates like this palpable sense of just doom that I think is more well realized than any other movie in the series. And it creates this entire vibe and atmosphere that I think rivals something like the original Halloween, except you'll never see the final chapter getting any credit for that. Um, the lighting, again, how the music is used, it's just very, very good. You have Kimberly Beck, Jodie Aronson in there, Corey Feldman, of course, who plays, our Tommy Jarvis as a kid, Crispin Glover, Eric Anderson. I just think it may be the most well-rounded group of characters in terms of them being lively and engaging enough, sort of follow them through the short runtime some of them have. Just a likable group of actors that are believable enough to make when things happen, at least somewhat okay. This is in the shit, isn't it? And you don't actually mind spending time with them before it happens. You also have twins in this movie, Barbara Howard, Peter Barton. I will say, though, I think the Rob character looking for his sister is a little underbaked before its eventual conclusion. I like the sort of tie-in of him looking for his sister, who was one of the victims in part 3. Um, but I could have used a bit more of a, I don't know, payoff per se, and not as much the he's killing me, something before that maybe. And that whole "he's killing me" line, it takes me out of it for just a second. For as serious and palpable as the dread is in this movie, that delivery is just a little hysterical. And then the apparent death as off screen, I thought was a bit of an odd choice as well. But nonetheless, there are plenty of really good, again, kind of mean spirited kills in this movie. Not that they're like all that inventive or like bombastic in a way, but just how they're done, how Ted White does the scenes, makes them feel like ooh. um, but yeah, and it gives us one of our probably the most iconic endings in the series with Tommy Jarvis shaving his head and everything, and what happens following that. To close off Jason for a very brief time period. But yeah, I've really gotten to have a lot of admiration and enjoyment and even love for Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter. I do think it's definitely one of the best films in the series. I can understand if someone says it is the best film in the franchise. It's definitely towards the top for me now, too. If I had to rate it, I'm giving it like an A minus. I genuinely think it's that good for what it's going for as a slasher movie and as a horror movie. But yeah, let me guys think about it. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, of course, Instagram, and peace.